This story is called The Brothers David. When I was growing up in downtown Toronto, a rare ingredient in the immigrant stew that was the Bloor and Bathurst area, my dad was driving for the Toronto Transit Commission, the TTC. When he was a rookie, they started him off driving streetcars on the worst routes, like the King Knight streetcar, the Vomit Comet. He survived it just fine, learning the ropes of Toronto public transportation, dodging stink and smoke bombs, parrying puke projectiles, and talking problem passengers off the streetcar. In those days, the TTC still operated the good old Red Rocket streetcars. I loved them, and some of my best memories of being with my dad was when I'd catch a ride with him on the Bathurst streetcar from Bloor, riding all the way down to the lakeshore, riding the loop around, hanging onto the steel bars behind him, chatting away with him as he drove, sold fares, clanged the fare box, punched transfers, and bantered with passengers. "You look just like Gordie Howe," exclaimed one passenger. "Really?" said my dad. "I'd rather look like David Niven." Damn, my dad was cool at times like that. I was proud of him in his light salmon-colored shirt with the red TTC badge, deep brown trousers, transfer puncher in the leather belt holster, and his deeply rubbed-in smell of streetcars, sweaty steel, Toronto streets, jostling people, and money. And he made some friends at the TTC, other drivers. He had some buddies. One of them was named David, like my dad. He was a huge Jamaican, a black man at least 2 meters tall with enormous long arms, powerful hands, a waist wide like a tree trunk, a dazzling smile, flashing eyes, and an aura of good humor that emanated from him in Caribbean waves. One time he dropped in at our house, ringing the front doorbell. I opened the front door, and there he was, filling the door with warmth. He beamed down at me. "Is your father home?" he asked, his deep voice thrumming through our house. I heard my dad, who was in the kitchen and back, shout, "Is that Brother David?" And he came running to the front door. "Why, it's my brother David," guffawed Brother David, who came into our hallway and picked my dad up in a hug like he was a little boy. They laughed, went into the kitchen. I heard the fridge open and close, heard the ptsch sound of a couple beer bottles being opened. I looked around, listening to the brothers David as they talked and laughed in the kitchen. I wish I could say that the brothers David are friends to this day, but I can't. Soon after, Brother David was driving a Toronto streetcar when an asshole passenger came on who tried the dime scam. You see, you could buy little aluminum TTC tokens to ride the system. They were almost exactly the same size as a dime, a 10-cent coin. So some riders would try to plunk a dime in the fare box instead of a token. Thing is, the drivers could tell the difference between the sound of a token and the sound of a dime hitting the steel bottom of the fare box. When this happened, they were instructed to say, "Either you put in the full fare or you get off this streetcar. It goes nowhere until you do one or the other." So that's what Brother David said to the asshole passenger that day. The asshole passenger glared at Brother David and shouted, "You fucking nigger! I put a token in that fare box!" Brother David must have been having a bitch of a day, because he rose up from his driver's seat, at which point the asshole passenger's life must have flashed before his eyes. And with an enormous fist, Brother David hit the asshole passenger square in the face, knocking him out cold, laying him out flat on the floor of the streetcar, ready for the undertaker. I cheered inside when I heard this story from my dad, but of course the TTC had to fire Brother David. When Brother David moved with his wife and kids to another city, my dad lost touch with him. I hope Brother David is alive and well. Wherever he is, we can be sure that his good humor is warming everybody around him.